entirely flat, as if it had been hammered with a mallet. However, there was no way anyone could have broken in, and both doors were firmly locked. William Gill, a very fit rower, was found with his head turned completely around, despite not a single mark on his neck, in a boathouse near Swalwell. Was this an outbreak of the spirit she had set free to seek out a terrifying revenge? Well, if you think all of this is just bound to the past, the most vivid of these happened as recently as 2009. And the thread leads directly back to Newcastle's town moor. In 2008, a man called Frank Green died, and on his deathbed he begged his 68-year-old daughter Agnes to forgive him for what he and his brother William had done to her. From the age of 5 up until she was 19 years old, they had systematically sexually assaulted her and raped her regularly. As a consequence, she was unable to have children of her own due to internal damage he'd caused, and she simply refused to have anything to do with any men. Agnes, somehow, still loved her old dad, who was riddled with cancers and dying in agony. Old Frank had another obsession, and that was tracing back his family tree. And there, way back on that tree, was Maria Green, the 17-year-old who had taken her life back in 1877. At the time, it was thought that she had been abused by her father, hence her wanting to die and release furious angels from the grave to revenge her. Her father, if he was hurting her, did not live for long. On the anniversary of her death, he drowned in his bath. No health reasons as to why he should. He was simply found there with his eyes staring wide open, a thread common with these inexplicable deaths. In Frank's paperwork, collected by Agnes on clearing his house, he wrote, "That little bitch has my house full of these ghosts. Every day I see more and more, but they won't stop me. Is it my fault her father used her? It may be his fault that me and William had the feelings we did. Maybe this tells why so many of we Greens have died." There was a family tree littered with child suicides, all young girls, and men contracting a range of psychiatric illnesses, almost like it was some sort of natural justice. The very last thing he'd put in his daily journal was interesting. "They surround me where I lie here in bed. The pain is more than I can stand, and they laugh at me. If I get comfortable for a second, one will slap me or poke me right where I hurt. I have not slept now for almost 3 weeks. The doctors say it's a waste of time taking the medication. It's now just a matter of time. And yet the dark things look at me as if I am dirt, and the girl makes me feel so ashamed of what I did to Agnes. But when her mother died, when she was born, she became the woman of the household straight away. She looked after me and my brother William. I know my daughter is coming today. I will ask her forgiveness because I am going to die. She is here now, the girl. She's walking to me and she's saying something. Die in agony like an animal, you bastard, she." And that's all he wrote. There's a presumption that Agnes had then appeared. He died the very next night, and he was found sitting in his bed, bolt upright, eyes wide open, staring out through his terrified, dead eyes. And at the funeral, William threatened Agnes that if ever she told a soul, then he would kill her. She smiled at him and said, "I don't need to do anything to you. You ruined my life and they know it. They will come for you next." Who? He was confused as she thrust a load of scribblings into his hand. Frank's journals and family tree. William had told his friends that he decided to move in with Agnes and make things like they used to be. Agnes caught wind of it, and over the Christmas into the New Year, spent time with her best friend's family in South Shields. And on getting home, she discovered William had been there. He'd left a note. Please help me. Please forgive me. Ask them to stop. My house is full of ghosts, black floating people who don't let me sleep. They push me about, and one tried to push me down the stairs. Another set fire to my kitchen and spilled hot fat on my leg. Call me when you get this. I'm terrified every second of every day, and I need you to stop these things. Only you can help me. You know I've always loved you. Agnes returned from Shields, and due to the complexities caused by ritual abuse, she stupidly decided to go to his house to try and help. She was a good person, and something made her go. He smiled on seeing her and closed the door behind her. Just then he grabbed her around the neck and started strangling her. You little bitch, you've caused this. Well, when you're dead, they'll all go away and leave me in peace. His thumbs were choking her windpipe. She was unable to breathe. She could feel the life leaving her. There was a greyness descending. This is what she remembers about the rest of that day. I was so near passing out, and then suddenly the door opened behind me, although no one was there. His hands released their grip, and I saw him being dragged backwards towards his living room by dark figures, a dozen of them. His eyes were wide open. He was so scared it looked like the veins in his brow and neck could burst any second. The next thing I remember is I was walking almost on automatic pilot towards the shops, and friends were saying hello to me. I was in a daze. My neck was purple, and Joyce, a neighbour, saw it and took me into her house to bathe it and give me a hot drink. I never saw William ever again. But 2 days later, a police officer came to my door around 7:30 to say that they had found my uncle dead. I asked the constable if his eyes were wide open, but he didn't know. I asked the same at coroner's court, and they wanted to know why I asked. I said, it runs in his family. My father was the same. The coroner said, yes, with a real look of terror on him, and his heart gave out, so we can declare natural causes. Agnes knows it was supernatural causes. The question is, how many of us belong to the families of the innocents that were hanged on the town moor? And if these entities are scouring the generations, how many of us could be their next victim?